What's up, everyone? I hope everybody is well and I hope you're all keeping safe. It's nice to be back here again with you guys. And I want to thank every one of you that has subscribed to my channel. You guys, we have made it to 1,000. Yeah, we did. And I am so grateful to everyone that has subscribed. You did not have to subscribe to me, but you have. Okay. And those who are watching and you haven't subscribed, I'm grateful to you too. Thank you for coming back. The returning ones, the ones that are new here today, thank you. Thank you, all of you. Yeah, guys. And I hope that you will continue to subscribe if you haven't. And let's take this channel to the next 1,000. Okay? All right. Yeah, you have asked, and I am here to answer. I have received a few questions from people that are new to Middle Eastern fragrances, and they are wanting to understand a few things. Now, I am not an expert on Middle Eastern fragrances. I'm not an expert on Arabian fragrances. I am just a lover, a person that's passionate about fragrance and perfume. And I am going to share the little that I know. All of us are learning as we go along. So I am going to be sharing 5 important things that we should know. Number 1, Middle Eastern fragrances are typically much more stronger, much more intense. Yeah. Typical notes of Middle Eastern fragrances are usually agarwood, which is oud, sandalwood, incense, things like saffron, musk, amber, notes of jasmine and rose. Those are typically the kind of notes that you will find in any Arabian fragrance. Second thing that is important for us to know is that Middle Eastern fragrances have no gender separation. Out here, designer niche, we're used to fragrances that are masculine and others that are feminine and others that are unisex. But in the Arab world, all fragrances are unisex. There's no gender, there's no masculine, no feminine. All fragrances are made to be enjoyed by everyone. They love their fragrances and they enjoy them equally. Even rose, which is deemed by many to be a feminine note out here, in the Middle Eastern world, rose is enjoyed by everyone, including the kings and queens. Okay? Voila, so no gender separation in Middle Eastern fragrances. Number 3, Middle Eastern fragrances tend to have a lot of fragrance oils in them. They have a high concentration of fragrance oils, which is good. And that's why they smell so strong and they're so strong and intense. They have a high dose of fragrance oils, much more than what we see in designer fragrances, much more than what we see even in some niche fragrances, which brings us to the 4th thing that we need to know. Middle Eastern fragrances will need to macerate, okay? Maceration is the process of breaking down the perfume notes and ingredients in perfume as alcohol, where they're put together and the alcohol breaks them down. They dissolve into the perfume, the oils and the alcohol, and all the notes just come together. They gel together and give you a beautiful fragrance. But sometimes some of these Middle Eastern fragrances they are done in a way that kind of, I'm not saying that they bypasses that process, but sometimes when you spray it, there's a big, huge blast of alcohol. That has happened to me so many times when I've bought a fragrance and you sprayed it and there was this huge blast of alcohol that nearly blinded me. Yeah, so you will need to do 2 things. Number 1, you need to go out somewhere in the open and spray out about 10 or 15 or 20. If you have 100 ml, you can afford to lose like 15 or 20 sprays. Okay? If you feel like that's too much, then do 10 sprays. Just spray 10 sprays out, and that will get rid of that, some of that alcohol on top of the perfume. Yeah, and then after you have done that, you leave it to sit for a while. You might need to leave it for about a month, for 6 weeks or 2 months. There are people who have spoken of leaving their fragrances for 6 months. For me, that's a little bit too much. Okay? You can still spray it out and use it, but the longer your fragrance stays, the more it will macerate. It will continue to get absorbed into the oils. When perfumers are making fragrances, they have two things. They have the aromatics, which is the notes that we know, the ingredients, the notes that we know, like oud, like jasmine, like whatever it is that they're putting in that fragrance. Then they have the solvent, which is the alcohol. Those things come together with the oils, with the notes, with the alcohol, and they need to break down and completely macerate to the point where they have a nice fluid fragrance. Just give it time, leave it out somewhere. But if you don't want to do that, like I said, you can just spray it out like 20 sprays and then carry on and use it. But you will find that as time goes on, your fragrance will macerate and it will deepen and it will have some depth, some intensity, some complexity. Voila. And final thing that we need to know. Middle Eastern fragrances act very well as layering agents. And especially the ones that we buy and maybe you find like they are a little bit too much. If you find like it's too intense or like the notes are just too much for you, or maybe it's too much oud and you don't like oud, you can use them as mixers and as layering agents. Use them with other fragrances. For example, if you have an oud fragrance and you find like the oud is too much, use that oud alongside a fragrance that has rose, a rose forward fragrance. You can use it with something else like a floral notes. You can use it with another fragrance which has maybe woody notes. Just play around with it and you will find that you will create new scents that are unique to you. Scents that have complexity, that have intensity, that are basically just unique. Just play around with your fragrances and see what works and what does not. And eventually, if it does not work and you find that you have done everything and it doesn't work, you can gift it to somebody. Right, okay, I hope that is helpful. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm learning as I go along. We're all learning. Voila. So until next time, guys, ciao and God bless you.